Hey and welcome back to my channel. It's Ashley here, and if you are new, hey girl, hey. So in this video today, I am just going to be showing how you can repurpose some spindles. So let's get started. Alright, so for this first little DIY, I'm going to be working with this spindle right here that came from a chair that I repurposed like 2 years ago, I think. But I have 4 of these and I'm just going to be using one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to my miter saw and I'm going to cut this into 3 different sections. And if you don't have a miter saw to do this, if you have a circular saw, you can use that, or you can also use like a jigsaw to cut your spindles. Alright, so now that I got my spindle cut down into the different sections, I'm going to now show you the first 2 ways that you can repurpose a spindle. And the first way is making a cake stand. So all I'm going to do is take my E6000 and I'm going to attach this wooden plate that I got from Hobby Lobby to the top of that. And then I'm just going to make sure that it is nice and center, and I am going to let that dry. So now I'm going to take this wooden circle and the second half of my spindle, and for the second way that you can repurpose, I'm going to be making a candle holder. So again, I'm going to use my E6000 and I'm going to add that glue to my spindle, and then I'm going to attach the little wooden circle to the top, making sure that it is centered, and I am going to let that dry. The next step is staining. So after both of these are nice and dry, I'm just taking these outside and I'm going to stain the tops. So you can stain these or you can paint these, you can spray paint them, whatever you want to do. I'm using stain, and the color that I'm putting on first is golden oak, and then I'm going to come back in with a little bit of my simply white, and then I'm going to let these dry. Okay, so now I am going to paint the bottom. So I'm basically just going to be taking, this color is Sheepskin. I use it all the time. I love this color. It is by Folk Art, and I am just going to be coating both of the bottoms the same. So for the candle holder and the cake holder, they're going to be the same color. And I did about 2 coats. Okay, so this cake holder can be utilized for so many different things. So you can use it for cakes, you can use it for desserts. You can get a glass little dome and put on top of it, which will be honestly super cute. And you can also just use it for decor. So adding books and different decor, smaller decor pieces on top would all look amazing. So the candle holder I'm obsessed with. I love it. So simple to do. I love the white mixed with the golden oak tone of the wood, and I'm honestly going to be making some more of these. Moving along, I'm going to be using some chair legs from another previous DIY that I did, and I'm going to be creating candle holders. So honestly, these chair legs were like destined to be candle holders because they were the perfect shape for it all. So what I'm doing now, as you can see, I'm on my miter saw and I'm cutting down the sizes that I need. So I'm going to have a tall candlestick holder, a medium sized candlestick holder, and then a shorter candlestick holder to create a trio. Okay, so now I'm going to take a candlestick holder that I already have, and I'm going to use it for size reference. And I'm going to take one of my spade bits, and I'm going to now just figure out which size is going to match correctly so that I'll be able to add candles to the candlestick holder. And once I find the appropriate size, which it was a 7 1/8 bit, I am going to remove this little bottom portion here that is on the bottom of the chair leg so that I'll be able to drill my hole at the top. Okay, so now that I got the right bit picked out, like I said earlier, I am just going to start to drill my hole at the top. And let me just tell you, doing this, it took a lot of power and pushing down to start to create that hole, but I got it done, and I did this for all 3 of the chair legs. Alrighty, so now I'm going to spray paint these candlestick holders, and I'm going to be using Blossom White by Rust-Oleum. This is a Paint Plus primer, and I am going to spray each one of the candlesticks, and I did about 2 coats, I believe. I might have done 3, and then I let this dry. And after I let them dry, the next thing that I did was I took some dark walnut stain and I just added that to the top to give it a more rustic kind of vintage feel, and so that it won't just be plain white. Here is the finished product. I absolutely love these candlestick holders. So honestly, you could add wood to the bottom if you wanted to, but I just didn't want to do that because first of all, they didn't need them. They stood up on their own, and I just like how it looks just like this. Like I said, these were destined to be candlestick holders, and I just am so excited and happy with how this turned out. Here's a quick little flashback of the pieces that we're going to be using to create the fourth way that you can repurpose a spindle. And it's either going to be like the feet or it's going to be the upper part of the leg. And I'm just cutting them off and I'm going to use this to create the tassels. To create one of the tassels, I'm going to be using two separate pieces. So to attach those, of course, I'm going to be using my E6000 and I'm going to attach these two pieces together and I'm going to let it dry. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start to paint these. So I am painting it that same sheepskin color and I'm going to be doing that with this tassel and also the second tassel as well. They're both going to be painted the sheepskin color. So now I'm going to start working on the bottom part of the tassel, which is actually where the string tassel parts are going to be. And all I'm going to be using is my twine to do that. And I'm using this M to just start to wrap it around, but you can use like cardboard or anything like that to start to, even your hand, to start to wrap your twine or yarn or whatever you're using around. And then you're just going to pull it off and then you're going to tie the top part together and then you're going to snip the bottom half and then you're just going to trim off what you don't need. So for this one tassel, I'm going to unravel each piece of the twine. You can do this, you don't have to do this, but it kind of fluffs it out a little bit more and gives it a lot more volume. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start to unravel each one of the pieces of twine. Okay, so now I'm just going to attach my twine to the top of my tassel and I'm going to be using my hot glue to do that. So you can use the hot glue and E6000 together, whichever you would like to use. So I'm just putting the hot glue on first and then I'm gonna make sure that it's nice and centered. And then I'm gonna start to also make sure that I am taking the twine and I am gluing it to the edges around the tassel so that it can look full. Now I'm going to start to work on the actual handle part of the tassel. So I'm going to be using these wooden beads that you can pick up from Michael's. It is a variety pack and I love to get this pack. So I'm just going to add these beads and then I'm going to show you the first way that you can attach this to the top of your tassel. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my twine, pull it to the side, and I'm going to add some glue in the whole area. And then I'm just going to take the twine and kind of push it back in so that now it'll be glued to the inside of the bead. And then after that, I'm just going to snip off the excess twine so that I can then glue this to the top of my tassel using my hot glue, or you can use E6000 to do this. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to take another piece of twine and I'm just going to wrap that around the base just to hide any spaces or gaps that I may have from when I added the twine to the bottom portion. To finish off the top portion, all I did was I just kind of looped it down and then now I'm just wrapping my twine around, gluing it, and then I'm going to cut that off the top and then that's all finished. So the second way that you can attach your handle is to actually just create a hole straight through the top of your spindle, and then you're going to start to add your twine inside of that, and at the bottom you can glue it or you can just tie a knot. So now I'm just going to start to add my beads, and for this tassel I'm just going to create like a loop looking handle and tie it around and glue it with my hot glue. And then that is all you have to do if you want to attach it this way to your tassel. Lastly, I just had this key that I had extra from another DIY, and I decided to add that to the side here just to add a little bit more character to this tassel. So here's the end result of the tassels. These tassels can be used as a flat lay decor piece like this. Put them on some books. You can put this on a doorknob. You can put this on a larger vase if you have one. There's so many different ways that you can decorate with tassels, and I just love how these turned out. They were super simple to do. The possibilities of styling these and actually creating these is so different, so just have fun with it. This spindle I picked up from an antique shop, so I'm not quite sure where it came from, but I'm thinking it was probably a part of some stairs. And now I'm going to show you the fifth way that you can repurpose spindles, and that is making a jewelry holder. So of course the first thing that I'm going to do is take this to my miter saw and I'm going to cut it down into the two sections that I need. So after I have my two pieces cut, now I'm going to just drill a hole in the middle. So I've already marked that hole, and I'm just going to take my drill bit and I'm going to drill the hole, not all the way through, just till I reach the top a little bit, and then I'm going to take that down. So I'm going to do that for both of the spindle pieces that I have. Next, I'm going to be using these wooden dowels that you can pick up from Walmart. They are actually like, it's a pack of them for like 97 cents. So this first wooden dowel that I'm going to use, I am just measuring it out, and I'm going to mark where I need to cut that onto my miter saw, and I'm going to cut that down. And then I'm going to take the second dowel that I have, and I'm just going to cut that down a little bit shorter than the first one. And I will have both of the measurements down below that I used, so you can use them as well. Next, I'm going to take this square piece of wood that I picked up from Hobby Lobby, and I am going to drill some holes so that I'll be able to add my dowels. So I'm going to have a hole again in the front and one in the back. Now I'm just going to paint these. So you already know I'm using sheepskin, and I am painting these. It took about 2 coats to get this done. Now that I've added the dowels to the square piece of wood at the bottom, I am going to stain everything, and the stain that I'm using is that golden oak color again. So now I'm going to take the stencil that I got from Michael's, and I am going to, actually I got this on clearance as well. It was on like $1.49. But I'm going to take this stencil, and I'm going to add the little leaf prints down to the bottom randomly. And I'm going to be using, again, the same sheepskin color. So one of my favorite stencils to use is a silkscreen stencil, and that is because when you do a stencil using these, like, it just looks like professional. It looks so good. You have no bleed through or anything. So I highly recommend silkscreen stencils if you can get your hands on them at an affordable price, and use those so you can look like a pro. Okay, so this DIY right here is my favorite because it's the most unique, and I love how this turned out. I honestly had to go back to the drawing board because what I was going to do originally was not this, but I'm so glad that I did, and I came up with this idea, and I just love how this turned out, and I'm already putting this to use. If you haven't checked out my latest video, you can check it out up here. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you comment down below to let me know what you think. If you're not subscribed to my channel, make sure you click on that subscribe button, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!